It's a hot fucking day, but I'm back to you. June 7th, it's a Friday. Just climbed up. I don't know if I can call it a mountain. Kind of felt like it though. I'm above Badolato. You can't see the Borgo, but you can see Badolato Marina behind me here, and I don't know. I sort of just I didn't plan on hiking up here. I wanted to find a good spot in Badolato Borgo to talk to you, and I just kept following a road, and that road kept going up, and then I was like, you know what, I'll just keep going until I find a good spot, and I think I found a decent spot. I wanted to find some shade. I mean, I don't know. It's not perfect. I could have gone into some shade, but this is like a flat area here. Um, so I don't know. I thought it'd be a nice little view, even though the sun is absolutely demolishing me right now. I can't deny that. I'm gonna be a sweaty motherfucker this whole time talking to you. But regardless, I think it's worth it just for the location itself. Um, I thought of what I forgot last time I was talking to you. I was talking about, to sort of reintroduce the idea, right? I was talking about how I'm discovering how people are, or I've discovered, I don't know how to phrase it exactly. Just it's interesting how much people lie more than they tell the truth. And there's sort of this common phrase. I don't know, I was told it a lot when I was younger. I hear it a lot. It's hard to lie, it's easy to tell the truth. And I think that has some validity to some degree, right? I mean, it's hard to maintain a web of lies. It's hard to remember which lies you told to who and which lies you didn't tell to who, and it's hard to keep that all straight. But I think that takes away from how hard it is to tell the truth. Maybe that's just me. I don't think it is though. I think to be honest, it takes a grounded foundation. It takes someone who knows where they're standing and is willing to be humble. Now maybe that's just a challenge that I've been working to overcome, but it's one that I quite enjoy. I quite enjoy the feeling of being humble. Not at the outset, but afterward. It's sort of like exercise or cold water or anything to do with discipline, right? It's harder to begin with, but it's so much more gratifying afterwards. And that's what it's like being humble. I mean, you feel like an idiot. You have to, I guess for me, it's, like learning, or just like with anything, you sort of just have to put yourself where you are. You don't build yourself up to anything other than what you are. And I think that can be challenging at first. But then as it progresses or afterwards, I don't know, it feels right. And I don't know, I'm searching that feeling. I'm questioning the validity of this spot because sweat is jumping off of me at the moment. I'm going to stick with it. I mean, I couldn't tell the difference between this fly walking on me and a drop of sweat. I mean, but no. What I was trying to get at, what jumped from my mind when I was talking about this with you, the subject of people not being as honest as I thought, or being more deceitful than I would assume, or just my frustrations with people being deceitful. I think the majority of this comes from good intentions. I think a lot of us are trained to be nice. I mean, I remember in high school there was this whole fucking campaign, and I think it wasn't just our school. I think it was like a program, it probably still exists, that like reached out to many schools and did its thing. It's called Be Nice, right? And I remember always looking at that and like, I personally thought it would be more effective if it said, "Don't be an asshole." I thought that just had a little bit more of a grab, a little bit more of an appeal to it than "Be nice," right? And they had T-shirts that the teachers wore, and I'm sure this is still an organization, but here's my qualm against being nice. When you're nice, oftentimes you separate yourself from the situation, or you're not present within the situation. You put on a mask, and that mask is, oh, I like what's going on here. I like this, right? For example, I think this is a good example actually. If you're eating food, right? And let's say you're eating food with a group of friends, and one of those friends cooked the food for you. Well, I think it's fair to say that you genuinely appreciate the act of that friend preparing this food for you. But now let's say you don't like the food. Let's say you actually don't like the food. Now, most people in this situation are trained to be nice, right? Another common phrase: if you have nothing nice to say, don't say it, okay? And so what do people do? They shut up. They grimace, put on a smile. Oh, it's so good, thank you. Oh, no, it's good. Right? They lie. Oftentimes, to be nice, you lie. Or the easiest way to be nice is you lie. Because the truth is, you didn't like it. And to admit that you don't like it, you kind of got to be a little bit of a dick. I mean, just a little bit, right? Like, hey man, like, I don't know, like, it's not my thing. It's a very specific flavor. Not enough. I don't know. I don't like it. Not for me, right? And I think a lot of us are trained to not say that because we want to please the person. This is our friend, right? No, I want to build them up. I don't want them to feel bad. They cooked for me, right? But there's a separation between that appreciation and being honest. You don't have to, it's not one or the other, right? You don't have to lie to be appreciative. But it also means that you're not necessarily going to be nice about it. Like I'm specifically in my mind, I'm recalling a situation. It was a group of skiers, or a group of friends that went on a ski trip. And I taught some of them. And they invited me back to their place. Super generous. And one of their friends cooked a dish that had a very strange cheese in it. And this cheese had a very peculiar and specific flavor. And I don't think any of us really enjoyed it because it was very strong. It sort of overwhelmed the dish. And I think there was like 12 of us or like 11 of us. And I remember some of the girls, like I watched them take their plates and run, like, so we started eating as he was still cooking because he was like making so much food that he had to do one, like, he had like, okay, there's 5 plates ready, now there's another 5 ready, whatever the fuck. I watched some of the girls, I don't know what eating disorder, no shame for it, but I think they were ashamed of it themselves because they hid it. They took the dish, they ran to the bathroom, I'm assuming, and flushed it down the toilet and came back with an empty plate and went up, oh, it's delicious, and he was like, he was genuinely curious. I could see that from him. Hey, did you like it? And I saw them just lying straight to them. to him. Just programmed. Just, oh, it's so good. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. You're lying. You're lying, bitch. Why are you lying? Why don't you say, look, I really don't like that flavor. Thank you so much for cooking for me, but that flavor is just not for me. And then he can have some leftovers for himself instead of doing all this trickery. And then the other thing too, I don't even think it's beneficial in the way that people want it to be beneficial when they're nice like that. Because people can tell. People can fucking tell when you're honest or not honest. Even if you're not in my position where I saw it happen, right? And it happened behind his back, and let's say you genuinely didn't see it. You can feel it when someone's talking to you and they're not, did you like it? And right, you're being honest. You're asking the question, right? If I ask a question, and I'm assuming if someone asks that question from an honest point of view, did you like it? Right? You're asking a question because you want an answer. Right? If you don't want an answer, you wouldn't ask the question. But getting a fake response, getting told just yes, and it's like, why would they even ask the question then? Why would I even ask the question then? Just be honest with me. Do you not like it? Tell me if you don't like it. That's why I asked the question. The question isn't designed for one response, right? It's such a silly thing, and then it's like, well, why are you even there? It's like, I sort of had this thought, this sort of paradoxical thing, which I love paradoxes, right? The paradox is, in my opinion, being nice is probably the meanest thing you can do. Because we're all here. We're all existing in this fucking world. And when you invite people into your life, when you have food with someone, when you have a conversation with someone, when you're interacting with someone, right? The best thing you can do is be there. Really be there. And maybe that takes personal work from all of us to be able to be present in order to be present with other people. But that's really the nicest thing you can do. Or I prefer kind, because I think kind comes from love, nice comes from a mask. So I would prefer the people around me be kind. And forget nice. Nice comes from a mask. Be honest, please. But really, being nice, you're not being present. And when you're not being present, you're not a part of this world. You're not interacting with the people that invited you to interact with them. Or even you're not interacting with the world that you're a part of. The world that you're born into. The world that welcomed you. So you might as well not be here. Might as well not be there. You're like a ghost. If you're being nice, you're not even there. You're not even present. You're just floating along. So I don't know, I think it's an instinct almost. I think it's trained into a lot of us to have that nice response. But I think it's important to take a step back and understand, where is that response coming from? That's coming from a mask. That's not coming from a genuine place. That's coming from a place of fear. A place of, I don't want to be rejected. I want to be accepted. But if someone's mature, they're going to appreciate your honesty. And if you're mature and you portray that in a kind way, right? You know, I didn't really like the food. Too specific of a flavor. No one said that to him. And I wanted to be the person, right? But I felt out of place, right? For my specific little example. I mean, I've seen this happen in many examples in terms of food. You know, I think it happens all the time. But in this specific example, I remember I'm like, I want to say something here. I want to actually practice what I preach, essentially, or practice what I think, how I philosophize. But then I also felt out of place because I didn't know this group, right? I'd been invited here. So it was also that tension. But going back to it, I'm like, I'm here, right? I should be honest. I should be real, because that's the nicest thing I can do. Hey, I think the flavor was too much. And I remember talking to the people around me. I'm like, hey, we should say something. I was trying to, and they're like, oh, I'll say something later. And I could tell, so, truth is I didn't say something, right? So I'm speaking to myself here. But maybe that was the right thing to do. Maybe it's okay to, maybe it's situational, right? Because I don't know, I wanted to say something, but I just was so caught off by the situation. It's my first time meeting most of these people. And I was so confused by what was happening around me. I was really just taking it in. And I didn't want to call people out because I knew there were insecurities strewn across the room. And I was just grateful to be there. So I explained my gratitude. And honestly, I mean, it wasn't exactly for me, but I didn't dislike it as much as everyone else disliked it. And I was hungry and I ate it. It's just a peculiar flavor. So I didn't necessarily say anything about it. But there were people who didn't eat it at all and flushed it down the toilet and just completely lied about it. I mean, I think that's, I don't know. I know that's coming from a place of pain, a place of insecurity, but I think we have to be honest to each other, especially the people that we spend time with, our friends, our family, whoever those people are. Because they deserve it. And the thing is, if they don't like it, if they shun us, well, then that's just information. Well, look, you're not mature enough to handle the truth. I'm going to go find people who are mature enough to handle the truth. I don't want to be around fake people. And so I'm going to be real, and if people can't tolerate that realness, then that tells me that those aren't the people I should be around. So, I don't know, this is just something that I'm trying to work through. Sort of some ideas I've been pondering. On another note, it's been a good week. It really has. I talked to you a couple days ago, and I'm really feeling a lot more content, a lot more grounded, and it's interesting. I mean, I still, right? I'll go one side, then I go back. I still have a lot of anxiety about my future and about my past. But I think that's natural. I think if you're in the past or you're in the future, that is anxiety. You know, I don't know exactly what I'm going to do next. When I say that, I mean for July, for the month of July. I don't have anything exactly planned out. I mean, I have a vague idea, but that's about it. And then that continuing on until November, and then I want to go back to Colorado, and you know, I applied at another ski resort, but housing is going to be a bitch, and I need to get on top of it, but it's a lot of anxiety. So thinking about the future, it's anxious, and then thinking about my long-term goals, so that's, you know, like the short-term future, like within the year, within the half year. But thinking about my goals, you know, whether it's with this, I mean, I think this is relatively simple. I want to find more people to talk to, and but I mean, I'm not too anxious about this. I can just talk, and I want this to be as free as it can be, as chill as it can be, of course. So I love this. Like, this is great. I mean, with writing, got a specific idea that I'm working on, but I don't know exactly what my future as a writer will be. Do I want to lean more into, you know, like the short story or novel writing, or if I can write a novel, or do I want to lean more into drama and dialogue and, you know, show writing, and then I don't know, it's just a whole mess of things. And then the whole question of, okay, money, or in terms of like, okay, so should I start a business? Should I work towards a business? Or should I just keep working towards this community goal? And as I dive more into this and I think I know the answer to that one. I'm in a situation where I don't need money right now. It's just an anxiety because I want to have more and have it growing and have it sufficient for the next generation and the generation after that. But when I really think about how I want to live, I think that comes down to building a community. And maybe that'll be joining a community, but there are some pretty specific things that I want out of my community that I don't think anyone else is necessarily doing exactly. So that's where it gets tough. I think I want to found my own community, and now the truth is I need to find other people to join that. And I'm reading this book, Creating a Life Together, which is an old book. I mean, it was published when I was born, actually, 2003. So it's not new, but it's still pretty relevant information, I would say. And it's fucking like, wow, it's not easy. I think the number is 90% of communities fail, just twice as much as a business. And I love there's a quote in there that's really stuck with me. Creating a community is like starting a business and getting married at the same time, or in one thing. It's like a marriage and a business in one, which makes sense, because if 80% of businesses fail and half of marriages fail, well, that's 90%. You know, I mean, the numbers add up there, but I also think that's just a good way of being realistic about the fact that it's a challenging fucking thing to do, is create a community. And I think it's a challenge that we've been trying to solve for all of humanity, really. Ever since we've been living in groups, which I think has been a long fucking time, is how the fuck do we get along with each other? It's a tough thing, you know. You want freedom, but you need structure, and you want structure, but you need freedom. So it's this back and forth thing. It's a tough balance, but that I want to work towards that as soon as possible, because then I think I can really live the life I want to live and support the family I want to have, which I think is the most important thing for me. Wow, that's cool. Just watching the cows being led by the dog and the shepherd, or whatever the fuck. I think they're cows. So yeah, all that's on my mind. Past is still on my mind, but I'm getting past it. And I guess on the other side, you know, of the anxiety, I do feel this calmness in the present. I do feel, like I was saying, this grounding that is quite relieving. And it's like I'm losing my expectations more and more so. And I don't think I have had many expectations, but I'm trying to have less. I mean, I think the biggest expectation I had was I'll meet people. I will connect with people. I will make lasting relationships. And I'm letting that go. I'm really letting that go. Like today, walked into the village. Every other day I walked into the village, it's because I want to meet people. I want to talk to people. Today it was just, I want to fucking find a spot to do this. I ended up here. I'm starting to actually enjoy the solitude. I'm starting to enjoy just giving time to myself, which I mean, it's a fucking hard thing to enjoy. I mean, until you enjoy it. I don't, enjoying takes effort, but I mean, I don't think you can, I misspoke. I don't think you can enjoy from effort. I think it is something you just have to come by. Something that happens in time. And I think this is sort of my purpose for coming here, as silly as it is I'm just, I have a couple people I talk to here, but for the most part, I'm just by myself in my head, and I try to get out of my head as much as possible, and I'm finding a lot more pleasure being myself, being in myself, being in my body. Thought I heard like a dog walking up to me or something. Sometimes like the geckos, the lizards, or even like the beetles, like when they rustle some grass, it seems like a bigger thing. I'm just not used to it, but whatever the case, I mean, in the wild out here, essentially. I believe this area used to be terraced. There's probably quite a bit. I'm assuming there would have been olive trees all over here. I don't know what happened to them. Maybe it wasn't an olive plantation. Maybe it was something else. But it's been abandoned for, I mean, I would say 5-10 years at least. And it's beautiful to see the biodiversity coming back. I mean, you've got this plant, which is all over. I don't know exactly the name of it. It's everywhere. And then it's just amazing to see all the flowers and all the different grasses and all the other weeds, right? These lovely volunteers. It's amazing to see them popping up, and it's just really cool to look at land with that time perspective. Like what point in time it was, because I'm assuming this was tilled heavily when it was managed, because that's just the norm. Right, that's conventional agriculture, and so I'm assuming it was just the land was killed essentially every year, and given some time, it's healing itself, and it's beautiful to see. And I assume after some time, I think some oaks will take over. Some poplar species, maybe some acacia. I don't know what else exactly. I mean, I don't really see many oak saplings. I want to get better at identifying plants, but it's just cool to see. I think the term for it is this is in the placenta stage. Maybe it's a stage beyond that. I'm not sure. I'm not an expert in it. I would love to be, though. I'm fascinated by learning more about plants and being more knowledgeable when it comes to soil and just life in general. I think it's very important. But I would love to, for instance, I'd love to have this piece of land. I mean, hiking up here, it was like pretty steep for a while. Like it was just a single lane road, and it kept getting more and more rugged as it went up, and then it got pretty steep coming up here, and then it flattened off and sort of come to this area here, sort of to where you can see it, and then it drops off more, so goes down to Badolato Borgo, and then obviously past that to the marina. I just came from the Borgo, but it's like, I don't know, I came up here and it felt like there's a reason, like they call it getting high when you smoke weed, when you take psychedelics or something like that. you cross like a threshold and like you're in a different space. And it's interesting how that you can feel that literally when you hike up. And I think that's the beauty of hiking, is there's certain like planes you pass through, and once you get past it, it's just a different energy zone. And like I got up here and I just felt the energy here, and it was so like, oh, for me, it almost felt like a realization, like, I want to live in the mountains. Like, this feels right. Or almost like, oh, this is why people live in the mountains. Besides necessity, if this is the only land you can get and you need to farm. And, besides that, it's like, if you have a choice, oh, isn't it easier to be down by the coast? You're by everything. The one thing is, yeah, it's more busy, of course. Granted, it's awesome to be able to go into the water, go into the sea, right? But even if it was the same amount of people, being up here, it just feels different. And I don't really know how else to describe it. It is like being high. Literally, I'm high. I haven't smoked weed in a month. I haven't smoked weed in a month and a half. Can you believe it? But I got that feeling coming up here. I just felt that little zoop, like the little dial up. Everything's enhanced a little bit. Everything's vibrating at a different rate, it seems like. That's just the feeling I get. But no, I'd love to get a piece of property here. Oh, that fucker hurt. That was an ant. There's quite a few ants on me, but why are you... I don't know, we'll see here. I don't know if I could stand the wild much longer. But no, I'm feeling good. It's sort of been this interesting journey, but I'm feeling comfortable knowing that I only have myself to be with today and tomorrow and probably the day after that for the next period of time. I'm feeling a lot more comfortable with that than I was at the outset. It was sort of really irritating me. It was like unbearable at the outset. Whereas now I feel just content in myself. And I don't know if that's just a barrier I've had to break through. I don't know if that's why I felt the urge to come here. Maybe I wasn't running away. Maybe I was just running to a place where I could deal with myself a little bit. Look at some parts of myself that I didn't want to look at so much. Or not necessarily look at them, because I don't think I've really learned anything new. Yes, I've learned new things, but I think that's just I'm sitting with it. Just been sitting with myself. Just been giving myself the time. I haven't been coping with cannabis or distracting myself with entertainment or a female or whatever else. And or friends or whatever. And not to say any of those things are bad things, but I think I needed to just give myself some time, sit with myself a little bit. It's that sort of the trite self-love thing. Because I think it's hard to understand what that is. It's hard to understand what that means. What is self-love? I think for a lot of us, what is love, right? I like the definition, ceasing to see separation from yourself and the other. We are one, sort of that sort of thing. I like that definition. But what does it mean to love? How do you love? What does that mean? right? It's like if we say walk, it's like, okay, you're a baby, you can't walk, right? But then you learn to walk, and it's like, okay, you know how to walk. It's very simple. It's very a straightforward verb. But to love, what does that mean? What do you do? Is that a muscle? Is that a series of actions? What actions, right? And I don't know if I have the label for that right now, but I think what I'm discovering is I think a lot of it is just giving yourself the time, as far as self-love, giving yourself the time to feel the things you don't want to feel. And understanding that every part of you is a part of you. Everything you feel is information. I believe that. I really do believe that. That everything we feel, it's to some benefit of knowledge. We're actually getting knowledge from our feelings. That's why we feel. It's to get more knowledge. Now the trick is deciphering the information, because I think it's such a complex package of information, and I think that's where we fail. Sorry, the camera might be a little bit unsteady here. I was able to put a stick in the ground and then set it on top of a stick. It might not, I'm seeing it wobble in the wind. It might not be the most enjoyable viewing experience. I wanted to lift, I only have a small tripod. I wanted to lift it above the ground so you could see this gorgeous view, but it's going to be wobbling, I see. But feelings are difficult to understand. It's difficult to decipher knowledge from emotions. And I think that's partly because when that's said, I think what's most often interpreted from that, and why I know a lot of people disagree with that feelings are valuable information. It's because when you react from feelings versus acting on logic, it's always better to act on logic than to react with feelings, right? When you feel angry and you react with that emotion, what you're doing is you're projecting how you feel into someone else. That has nothing to do with getting you closer to your goals or getting them closer to your goals. You're just scattering your energy, wasting it, hurting others, lowering everyone's vibration. It's not a good course of action. Yes, we should act with logic. But what is logic? I mean, not what is logic, but what is the goal of logic? Right? See, logic is such a beautiful tool, but without a purpose for that tool, it's useless. And I think so many people, and I could talk about myself too, I think I have an instinctually tuned instrument of logic, and I've had to work on my instrument of feeling, right? And I think it's vice versa. Someone that has an instinctively tuned instrument of feeling has to work on their instrument of logic. I think they're both hand in hand. They need each other. Otherwise, they are faulty, right? I've been, I think, instinctually or naturally, whatever that is, and I could be wrong, but just from my observations, I'm a much more analytical person than an intuitive person. So for me, I just rationalize things. I just, cut it, make sense of it, boom, there. But if we don't have a purpose for this, it's just depression. It's just existentialism. It's meaningless. Yes, life is meaningless. Congratulations, you're intelligent. You know this. Life is meaningless. Congratulations. But what if you could be happy? Wouldn't you rather you be happy? Right? So I think logic is sort of the sandwich and feeling is the bread. Follow me here. It's the feeling is the foundation for which then we use logic to get to a feeling. I feel this emotion. Okay, so it's not reacting to this emotion. It's breaking down and observing, separating, understanding. Okay, what is this feeling? What's going on here? To what stimuli am I feeling this? Okay? Now, I don't necessarily like this. Is this coming from something in myself? Am I creating this? Or do I need to, work through something so that I can exist in this situation? Or is this situation inherently something that I can't be a part of? In which case, I need to define that situation. And I also need to define the situation I want to be in, more so. But now, I don't know if that line of thinking is beneficial too. I don't feel good in this situation, so I'm just going to go in the situations I feel good in. Well, I think inevitably every situation is going to make us feel shitty to some degree. It's just, so I don't know exactly. I don't know exactly what that is. I think maybe it's getting into the situations where the feeling of shittiness is less. But that's something I have to look at a little bit deeper. I don't know if I'll have an answer right now, and I don't. I hope that the question can keep its power. I think when we jump to answers, the questions lose its power. And even when I come to an answer, I never hope to lose the question, because the question is more valuable than the answer. And I would hope if anyone listening hears an answer, that they don't cling to the answer, they cling to the question. And maybe the answer is one pathway, right? But it's the question that leads us on this journey of understanding through different pathways. It's like when I'm walking in Badolato here. Like today, I was like, there's the fast way with walking. There's this shortcut up to the village. And I've walked that probably a dozen times. And I thought, well, why don't I walk on the street? And I remember it was being told, oh, it's the boring way. I'm like, well, I'm just going to do something different. So I walked on the street. And then I saw a set of stairs. Like, because it's like the back and forth. There's that bee flying in front. Or fly, whatever. And then I saw a set of stairs, because there's all these foundation walls. And I thought to myself, like, okay, I'll try that. That looks interesting. And then I got a glimpse of a different part of the village than I got before. It's fascinating. I mean, how many abandoned houses there are. And it's just weird. Like, none of these places are available. You can't buy any of these places because the owner isn't selling them. It's like, why doesn't the municipality do the 1 euro house here? For so many of these abandoned places, they're falling apart. And then it's just interesting, I walk up, there's probably 3 terraces of streets that were like this. And then I got onto a road and I'm like, yeah, this is a nicer road. And then boom, I was by Palazzo Galelli, which is where I interviewed Guarino. That's like the area that they got EU funding to build like a museum, or to renovate this palazzo into a museum, essentially, or a tourist information site, or whatever it is exactly. And I realized I was on that street. I'm like, huh, what the fuck? And I noticed a bunch of people around there, and they were filming. They're filming this movie in Badolato right now. I forgot the fucking name of it. I'll have to ask again. But Lorena, who I talked to, she got a little like small little role in it or whatever. Like, I don't even know if it was a role, just like more than an extra, probably less than a role, whatever that is. Like, I think she was describing it like she got bumped into by one of the characters or something, and she like had a reaction, and she was all excited about it. It's awesome. It's awesome that they're filming something here, and they're doing it in that place. I thought that was interesting. But it's like, just below that, there's these like abandoned fucking buildings that are just like, they look like fucking crack houses. It's just like crazy. Some of them, the doors are kicked in, and like, there's a fucking TV from the 50s, and then there's like a couch that's just been eaten up by, time, whatever the fuck, and just like, some of them there's like trash and plastic and broken glass everywhere, and it's just like, what is going on here? And you look at like the roof and it's like caving in, or it's like another floor that's like floorboards are missing, and it's crazy. It's fascinating. And this is, one of the most beautiful villages in Italy, and I'm just wondering, like, why don't, if they're trying to build tourists here and property values are going up, why don't they get those properties and give them to people like me, people that want to travel and want to build something in different places, like, and add value to places, instead of just letting them crumble and then eventually get eaten by wilderness. What you see below that, you see these places that are even older, or whatever. Maybe they were just abandoned longer, and you can just see the forest swallow them up. And it's just like, or like this right here, like there's like 4 corners. I'm sure, this doesn't look like it was a house. It was probably like a tool shed or something. There's like 4 corners, and the rest are just, it's interesting, because you can save it before it gets to that state. Well, depending on the material, I don't know if it's like the mud and I forget, like clay and lime, like the Roman concrete or whatever. But I know roots can get through that. Like for example, my outdoor kitchen, I think Chris, my host, he was talking about how, I forget the name of the plant, but this one plant with crazy vigorous roots just got in and blew open the wall, just because the roots went down and blew it open. So shit happens. And yeah, I don't know. So just taking different roads leads to more information, and more information is always the way to go, I think. I'm trying to tune my instrument of intuition. I don't know what that means. I'm just trying to like think less. And I think one of the best ways to do it is like walking through a village like Badolato, right? And just being like, you come to an intersection and you just go where you feel like going. You don't do, because for me, I'm like, okay, I went this way, I took 2 lefts, I should even, I don't know. I'll have some analytical train of thought, and then I'll make a decision that way. I try to do less of that and more of, I feel this way. And that's not even a conscious thought, just trying to get more into the flow of that. I don't even know what that necessarily means, but I think that's what leads to the most fruitful outcome, or the most, information, the most interesting thing to happen. So I try to take new paths. Try to take new paths with questions. Try to take new paths in life. Try to take new paths in everything. And that's what this is. I think you'll come to find, if you enjoy this space and you want to listen to this, you'll come to find that I repeat myself a lot. I come back to sort of this central tree of my understanding of the world, and I will branch out, and the branches will go into different places. And that's why I want to talk to more people, so that I can get different pathways and different ways of understanding, and just different perspectives and different information. And I want to be in the unknown. I want to exist in the unknown, because that's where the most knowledge is, obviously. It's just a beautiful thing. It's but going back to what I was talking about with solitude, I've realized that traveling is probably nothing like sun-baked water. Traveling is probably one of the loneliest things you can do. Some fucking Beatles. And I'm farting. So there you go. Some more information for you. God, these beetles are big. I mean, they're not like big, but like, I don't know, like big enough to fucking catch my interest. But no, I think traveling is one of the most lonely things you can do. I think traveling is like being a ghost, but instead of inhabiting different bodies, you inhabit different places, and you never fully get that place. You never fully are that place, like if you live there. But you sort of get the experience of it. Oh, could have knocked some shit over. I hope that's not in frame. It might be. Whatever. And I don't know. It's a weird feeling. But yeah, no, I'm circling back to what I was saying earlier about my expectation with traveling was, oh, I don't like it where I am. I'm just going to go somewhere else. Well, it wasn't that I don't like the people where I am. I want to go somewhere else and find people I like. Right? Part of that has happened. But it hasn't happened to the visceral degree that I've thought I needed it to happen. Again, what I needed, I think, was time to sit with myself and give myself time. I already went over that. But it's amazing to me. Like, I've been here, this is my 3rd week here. And it's amazing to me, like, I'm feeling connected with some people here. But I don't know, I'm going to contradict myself, because I do feel connected with people here, but it's just, like, I know I'm going to move on. And I want to come back here. That's always the thing, right? That's always the thing. But maybe I won't. Maybe I won't come back here. I think this is a really, really special place. And I'm really glad I found it. It's quite an amazing little spot in Calabria here. There's so many foreigners, and there's this sort of, and the foreigners, the stranieri, we all sort of embody an alternative lifestyle than the Western societal norm. And I'd love to buy land here, like this plot, for example, and start something here, for example. But maybe I'll find something better somewhere else. I just don't know. I know that I've found some amazing people here. And that's what I realized about traveling when I traveled for the first time last fall. I came to this epiphany, which I'd love to share with you. People who don't travel have this conception of traveling that is, wow, you gain so much, right? When you haven't really traveled and you hear about someone traveling, and I get this from so many people that hear about what I'm doing. Oh my gosh, you're living large. Oh, take me with you. Oh, this. It's not that great, guys. I mean, it is great, and I feel like it's something I need. I don't think I could live another way right now, at least. So I don't know. It is great, but the thing is, it's not all gain. From the outset, it's like, wow, you're going to this place, and then maybe you'll go to that place, and then, wow, you're going to meet these people, and you're going to do this thing. Like, wow, that's all gain. But then you got to leave. Not only do you leave, right? So you leave home, right? Wherever home is, if you have it. You leave the place you're at. That's the point. You leave. And then you go somewhere, and then you take it in, then you leave. And so, for everything you gain, for everyone you meet, for all the friendships you make, for everything you enjoy, you have to leave it. So it's this just ebb and flow of taking in and letting go, taking in and letting go. It's not all gain. It's all gain in terms of experience and knowledge and whatever else, but in terms of, I don't know, what you physically have, it's not gain at all. It's everything is even.